right, 1 minute. 1 minute on the dot. My new watch. Alrighty, guys. Just getting myself ready. Getting my questions up. We have roughly 13 questions to go through before we open up the floor. I think we've already gotten a couple questions in. More than I expected, but you guys pulled my leg, so I had to answer them. Brittany Phillips, we are talking about going to King's Dominion. Any tips? A lot of tips. Brittany Phillips, are you going to be sticking around for the live? We could talk about that a little bit later once we get through the questions, because we're about to start right now. It is 8 o'clock, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another live stream. I do enjoy getting on here and talking to you guys live. Today we're doing something a little bit different for me. Not different in general. I'm not doing anything new. Q&A. So question and answers. You guys submit the questions and I answer them. So I submitted a post recently on Instagram on my feed, and I just basically opened up the floodgates for questions, and I ended up getting a huge amount of questions and had a really good time answering all those questions for you guys on my Instagram as well as my community page on YouTube. Now, I saw that opportunity as an opportunity to utilize that and translate it into a live stream so that we could do this on the go. You guys could throw questions at me, but I did submit for you guys to give me some questions that we could answer on the live stream on Twitter, my YouTube community page, as well as Instagram, and I did get a couple questions. So we're going to address those questions first. And then after that, we got about 13 questions, not too many, that I picked from the selection on all those posts. And then we'll go into the chat and we'll talk about the questions that you guys have live. All right. Thank you so much to all the people who submitted questions. Thank you to all of you guys that support me on my YouTube channel. If you don't already, make sure to follow me on my Instagram and Twitter. Just like this, you would have gotten a little bit of a heads up on this live stream, as well as an opportunity to submit a question. Okay. All right. We got Nicholas DeRosa, KK, hi K. Going to King's Dominion tomorrow, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg Sunday. What is better, Twisted Timber or I-305 or Pantheon? Well, that's a good question, and we'll get to that. Let's start off with the questions that were submitted, guys. Have some patience with me. I'll get to your questions in the live stream. If I don't answer them immediately, make sure to ask them again, because I'm going to go through these first and then answer all the questions in the live stream. And if the chat bar moves up too much, I may miss your questions. So we're going to start off with Twitter questions. We ended up getting 2 questions from Twitter, our Twitter post. Not too many questions. Like I said, I'm not as active on Twitter, so but I look to get a little bit more active. So first question for the live stream comes from Vampire Joey. Favorite HHN year. And that one is going to have to go to my first year that I went to HHN, which was the year of the Caretaker. And I believe that was like 2002, 2001 is my first year at Halloween Horror Nights. That was my first year because it started this crazy addiction to Halloween Horror Nights. As you can see behind me, I have my Jack poster and a bunch of other Halloween Horror Night related things. And I was terrified. But I enjoyed it greatly. Ethan, I see you in the chat, my friend. I swear I'll come back and I'll answer everybody's questions. Let's see. All right. So Vampire Joey on Twitter asked another question. Follow-up question. Favorite house ever and must grab merch. So my favorite house ever goes back to the first year that I went, and that's going to be the Caretaker house. I forget the name of the actual house, but the Caretaker was my favorite icon, as well as you can see back here, I have a collection of lanyards. The majority of them being Halloween Horror Night lanyards, but I just like lanyards in general. So if there's a piece of merch that I think is really cool to grab, it's a lanyard. because it's so purposeful. You could use it for your stuff at home, carry your keys and whatnot, if you want to carry a lanyard around your neck. And then if you're on a vacation at Universal Studios, you could use it to hold your room key, your passes to the park. It's very useful. I enjoy it a lot. Whenever I'm at Halloween Horror Nights, that whole entire week I have a lanyard around my neck. All right, I'm going to take a quick break to check out the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything too crazy. Wrong stream chat. Ha ha ha. New sub, huge fan, Nicholas DeRosa. I appreciate that, my friend. Welcome to Edutainment Nation. Ethan Rogers. Hey, how about you get some ladies? Just kidding. You're my favorite YouTuber. Ethan, I don't need ladies. I have a fiance. I love you too, my friend. I appreciate it. When it comes to coasters in Virginia, what would be the 4 horsemen of apocalypse? I do have a question on here talking about my favorite coasters in Virginia, so I think that kind of addresses that. All right, so let's move on. The next questions come from the YouTube community post. So I posted here on YouTube on the community post. I try to stay kind of relevant on the community post just so I could interact with you guys. You guys could see some of the pictures that I'm posting, so you can see some of the things that I'm doing. The first question comes from our friends over at the PewTube. Who is the best theme park vlogging couple that lives in Tennessee but covers Orlando theme parks? You know, it's a very long list of couples that meet that criteria, but I'm going to have to say the PewTube. They just edged it out just by a little bit. All right, that was kind of a joke, but back to the YouTube community post. The next question comes from Beth Mills. Beth asked, your favorite rides or your favorite ride or rides can be your favorite or multiple favorites. So as far as my favorite ride right now, it's a pretty easy one. It's going to be Velocicoaster. But if I was going to tell you my favorite rides at all the theme parks that I put in today's thumbnail, which is Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Kings Dominion, and Universal Studios, Florida, it would probably go Velocicoaster at Universal Studios. And then at Kings Dominion, it's probably going to be Twisted Timber. And then at Busch Gardens, previously Apollo's, replaced by Pantheon just recently. But Apollo's still a very strong second. Another question from somebody on our YouTube community post. It was from Charged on PC. Top 3 parks. And I think that's an easy one. They're all in the thumbnail of today's live stream. My top 3 parks are not 100%, but Kings Dominion, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Universal Studios are probably some of my top 3 parks and definitely my most frequently visited parks. I do love Animal Kingdom, though. Animal Kingdom is definitely up there and probably has a strong fight for top 3 somewhere. Wait, what's going on? Bro, wow. Called it. Z Sullivan. Yeah, you called it. I'm not going to lie. All right, Kings Dominion or Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Which would you suggest for a multi-day trip? All right, so I'll divert and I'll answer that question because I think that question from Charles Smith, Manshame, sorry if I butchered your name, but Cara Smith. Kings Dominion or Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Which would you suggest for a multi-day trip? Thank you for the great info. For a multi-day trip, I find that Kings Dominion tends to be the one that gets busier during the, I guess, the on-season. So if you're going for a multi-day trip, the great thing about it is they're not too far apart. They're about 2 hours away from each other. So you could find yourself some type of middle ground and actually visit both. I think if you're talking about 2 days, it's a hard one to really pick. I love both parks. I think I Kings Dominion edges it out a little bit just because as of recent, Kings Dominion has been doing a great job. But Busch Gardens is a beautiful park to go see and also has some great hotels like the Great Wolf Lodge around it. So tough question, but if I had to pick, I probably would pick Kings Dominion. I like the thrill rides at Kings Dominion a little bit more. And the staff at Kings Dominion does a really great job. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg is no slouch, though. Beautiful park. Some of the coolest shows that you could go see. Some of the most talented entertainers as far as the shows that you could watch at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So it's a toss-up. If you had to ask me right now, this answer may change throughout the season, but probably Kings Dominion for a multi-day trip. But the good thing about it is if you really wanted to, you could split that multi-trip up between the both of them. All right, so let's see. So we got another question on our YouTube community post. So back to the questions here. We're getting through them. We're almost done. And then we'll get to the questions in the chat a little bit more. Another question from Charged on PC. Rank the B&M coasters in Virginia. Okay, so as far as the B&M coasters that are located here in Virginia, I would say going from best to, well, not best to worst, but favorite to next favorite, with the first one being my most favorite. Apollo's Chariot is my favorite B&M coaster. Griffin is my second favorite. Alpengeist is my third favorite. Alpengeist, I had a crazy cool experience with Michael from Hallowed Thrills, where we got to ride it in the rain, which was a scary but cool experience. And all three of those that I just named are at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And last but not least, Dominator at Kings Dominion. Kara Smith, thank you. I try to do my best answering those questions. All right, so we're moving on to the last few questions. These were on the Instagram post that I had posted, I think, yesterday or the day before. All right, so Instagram, we got, I think I saw her here in the chat, Brittany Arms Phillips. How did you start doing YouTube? All right, so she has two questions. So how did you start doing YouTube? So first and foremost, Eddytainment is not my first channel. My name is Eddie, by the way, so it's a bit of a play on words, the name of the channel. Eddie and Entertainment, mix them together, Eddytainment. But that wasn't actually the first name of this channel, nor was it my first channel. I had a different channel. You guys could probably find it. It's out there. I'll let you know. It's called Kicks and Whips. I used to do reviews of shoes and cars. I was just starting. I go back and I look at those videos and I cringe. But I found that I loved shoes and I loved cars, but I didn't really love them to the point that I could share information about them and take you guys along for that ride. I tried it for a little bit, probably did it for a little bit less than a year, and found myself getting distracted with other things. And then maybe a year later, I started to think about it again because I really did want to try the whole YouTube thing. And, you know, thank God that I did, because I really do enjoy the journey that I've been through, growing, kind of interacting with you guys on a regular basis, and then seeing some of you guys in the parks. I started to think about it, and I always took an annual trip to Halloween Horror Nights. I started doing some research, and I started finding people on YouTube that covered Halloween Horror Nights, and I was completely unaware that this community existed, this like subgenre of theme parks, and then particular theme park events like Halloween Horror Nights. And it all started there. So I started my first YouTube video on Eddytainment is the history of Halloween Horror Nights, and if you want to see it, it's still on here. Zombie Chris is one of the guys that I watched before I ever even started a YouTube channel, and one of the ones that kind of showed me that this is a possibility. People out there are doing it, and there is a community behind it. Another guy that I was watching at the time was Awkward Arsic. He was doing a lot of Halloween Horror Nights coverage. So I decided to do it myself, and that's where I started. The majority of the videos in the beginning of this channel, and sorry if I speak really fast, the majority of the videos in the beginning of this channel were Halloween Horror Nights related, if not just horror related. But the majority was Halloween Horror Nights. And then I found myself having big gaps of time in between Halloween Horror Nights, you know, and speculation season starting, and I would just start creating speculation out of the air, and I started saying to myself, well, you know, there's other theme parks that I could try out. other Hhn events, and we can start enjoying those parks and kind of transition into the Hhn events and the holiday season as it comes. And that's how it all started and how we got to where we are today. Ever improving, I hope. I look back at the first video that I did on this channel and I cringe a little bit about that one too. But I do enjoy that video, just because it's the first video that I ever did on this channel in the history of Halloween Horror Nights. Brittany, thank you for that question. And if you're in the chat, I thought I saw you, but I don't see you now. And Beth, I see you out there. We answered your question, which was what was your favorite ride? And then I talked about the favorite rides. But yeah, thanks for jumping on, Beth. Brittany's second question was, what is your favorite park to go to and why? So why? I'll start off with why. It's because it's nostalgic to me, and it's the childhood park that I went to probably the most. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, Hialeah to be specific. And I used to go to Universal Studios. I used to go to Orlando all the time. We'd visit Disney. We'd visit Universal Studios. But Universal Studios more than anything. And I have pictures of me riding the original Confrontation and Jaws ride. So it was really nostalgic. And whenever I go back, it's my truest form of escaping from the real world for a little bit. So I do have a full-time job for the meantime while I'm trying to get YouTube going. So when I just want to kind of clear my head and escape, being at Universal is the place that does it the best. Next question comes from our Instagram post. It comes from TrickOrTreat9. Will you ever come to Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood? And the answer is hopefully this year. I've attempted to schedule this trip a few times, and things come up financially or just my schedule gets interrupted. Last year, I was able to do a lot more traveling. I think I went to Universal Studios, and I don't live in Florida any longer. I live in Northern Virginia now by Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Kings Dominion. I went to Florida about 7 times. So, in hindsight, last year probably would have been the perfect time to fit Hollywood in. But I got so I guess, laser focused on going to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando multiple times, which I haven't been able to do in a really long time, that we ended up doing that instead. But Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood is definitely a park or an event that I want to go visit, and Universal Studios Hollywood just in general. All right. Moving on to the next Instagram question. We got Kobe Stutz. Kings Dominion ride tier list. All right, so I'm not going to go over all the rides at Kings Dominion. I'm just going to do a couple of them that pop to the top of my head as far as like the best ones there. I would probably have to go Twisted Timber, I-305, Dominator, Tumbili, and Backlot Stunt Coaster, and Flight of Fear. So those would probably be my top. I would probably move Flight of Fear up 1 or 2. Anaconda also is a really good ride, but really the top rides are Twisted Timber, I-305, and Dominator. Love those 3 a whole lot. Oh, my screen cleared. Thank you to Kobe for that question. Next question from our Instagram post comes from KD Photo Fan, a good friend of ours here on the channel. Does great job with photography at the parks. KD specifically for this page, but I believe he also does Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Favorite ride and meal at any park. Favorite ride, as we said earlier, is Velocicoaster. That ride is spectacular. It will change your life if you guys haven't been to Universal Studios. We were there for the pre-opening and riding of that ride. I gave some feedback, so if you haven't seen it, make sure to go check out that old video. It's from last year around this time. And favorite meal at any park. So it goes back to actually the same park where Velocicoaster is at. My favorite restaurant in any theme park is Mythos at Islands of Adventure. And the gnocchi there is probably my favorite dish that I've eaten or ate at any park. All right, guys. We're almost through. We got 2 more questions from Instagram, and then I'll start looking down at the chat a little bit more and answering your questions directly. Next, we got a question from Porter Skyler 18078, and I think this was from you, Skyler, earlier if you're still in the chat. thanks for submitting this question. When was the first time going to King's Dominion, and what was your first ride? Now, this is a tough question. Reason being, my memory doesn't serve me well. But my first time going to King's Dominion has to have been somewhere around like 2006, 2007, maybe even 2008. Because that's around the time that I moved to Virginia. And I don't think I went the first year that I moved to Virginia. I went after. Excuse me. The beer's coming up. But, and my first ride might have been Intimidator 305. If it was open back then, which I think it was. Or Volcano. Rest in peace to Volcano. That's an amazing blast coaster. It's so sad that it's gone, but soon we may have a replacement. But yeah, somewhere around 2006 to 2008, and either I-305 or Volcano was my first ride at King's Dominion. Thank you, Porter Schuyler, for submitting that question on Instagram. And then we got our last question on Instagram, which is Mikey Welsh. Actually, I think this might have been in the chat earlier. What park outside of Virginia do you plan to hit this year? And this is a great question because we answered a little bit of it just shortly ago. So a couple of parks that we're looking to go visit and add to the content on the channel this year are Carowinds, and obviously Universal Studios for Halloween Horror Nights, maybe do some Disney, if I can, SeaWorld in Florida, as well as Busch Gardens Tampa for their Halloween. It's going to be tough this year. I have a pretty packed schedule, but Carowinds, I think, is one that we're going to do. I want to also do Dollywood, Hershey Park, Hollywood Universal Studios for their Halloween Horror Nights event, and also Not So Scary, so Knott's Berry Farm. With my Platinum Pass, I have access to Carowinds. I have access to Not So Scary. Also, we might head back to Cedar Point as well as Kings Island. Never been to Kings Island, but Cedar Point we went to last year, had a great time. The coaster lineup there is amazing, and we didn't get enough time to ride as many coasters as we wanted to, so we definitely got to go back. And being a Platinum holder, I get access to those parks, so hopefully we're able to head to that park this year. But if I had to say what the priority is, it's probably going to be Hollywood, Hershey, and Carowinds outside of the parks that I go to regularly. Alrighty, guys. That does it for all the questions that I had written down from the Instagram post, the Twitter post, as well as the YouTube community post. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted a question on there. Now we're going to switch on over to the chat. Feel free to ask any questions that you guys want to about the parks. If you want to know anything when it comes to Universal Studios, I'm very knowledgeable about the hotels. I've actually done reviews on all the hotels and stayed at all the hotels at Universal Studios, the on-site hotels. Parks that I've been to. Oh. Hold on, guys. Technical difficulties with the battery. We're not done, I promise. I hope you can hear me. Hold on. Hold on. I hope you guys could hear me. We're about to come back on live. Can you guys hear me? Okay, awesome. Thank you, Chris. Come on. There we go. We're back on live, guys. Boom. All right, you guys can see me again now. All right, so yeah, we're gonna hit up some parks. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. It looks like the battery on my camera ran out. let's start going through some of the questions here in the chat. Again, thank you everybody for jumping on. Sorry about that quick technical difficulty. Battery ran out, but we popped another battery in there. It's fully charged, so we're good to go for some time. Awesome. I used to live in Southern Florida, and now I live in Maryland. Now I see where the diversity of park options come from. Yeah. Chara, is it Chara? I apologize for butchering that name, but yeah, I was from Hialeah, born and raised, always went to Universal Studios and Disney, Santa's Enchanted Forest for anybody who knows Southern Florida well. So I really enjoyed those parks. When I moved over here, I kind of tried to fill that gap, but I still would travel to Halloween Horror Nights on a regular basis, but throughout the year, I didn't have a park to go to, so I started experiencing Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Kings Dominion, and then slowly but surely made it into a thing where now I visit those parks very frequently. So yeah, that's where the diversity in parks goes, and hopefully on the channel, we hope to add a lot more parks. And eventually I want to like head out to like Tokyo and, you know, add a bunch of cool stuff that you guys haven't seen before. Let's see. Nicholas Rosa, best coaster duel. Universal Studios with Velocicoaster and Hulk, Kings Dominion with Twisted Timber and I-305, or Busch Gardens Williamsburg with Pantheon and Apollos. You know, with that combination, I would probably say, I'm going to put these in order. So I'm probably going to have to say, you know, even though I'm not a big fan of the Incredible Hulk, I think it's actually a pretty rocky coaster. I would have to say Universal Studios with Velocicoaster, just because Velocicoaster is so above all the rest of the coasters that you just listed, that it carries the weight for the Hulk where it misses out. Secondly, that's a tough one. That is a really tough one. Just off of the diversity and how cool and different the two coasters are, I would have to probably say Kings Dominion. Twisted Timber is one of the most unique hybrid coasters and the first hybrid coaster that I ever rode. Love that coaster. And I-305 is probably the most intense coaster in the U.S. It seriously really is. And then in third, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, but no slouch with Pantheon and Apollos. Apollos was my favorite ride at Busch Gardens before Pantheon came around. Pantheon is amazing though. Pantheon is Velocicoaster level without the theming. Do you count coaster credits or count all the different coasters you ride? I do not, but I've ridden a lot of them, and I've been tempted to sit down and get one of those credit counting apps and try to figure out how many credits I actually have. Because I recall a lot of the rides that I've been on. Some of them still exist, some of them don't. But I recall a lot of the rides that I've been on. I know that if I got on there, I would have a ton of coaster credits. I just don't remember all of them because I've been to Kings Dominion, Busch Gardens, Six Flags, several different Six Flags. I've been to Busch Gardens, Tampa, all of the Disney parks, all the Universal parks, a lot of like fairs that came around. So I should have a decent amount of coaster credits. I just don't know how many. Beth Mills, I love Dollywood. Mystery Mine is my favorite. I've never been to Dollywood. I really, really, really want to go to Dollywood so bad. I hope that the channel continues to do well, so we can get ourselves out there. The better that the channel does, the more opportunity that I'll have to share with you guys different experiences and bring you guys along. I really hope that things continue to go in the way that the path that they're going, so I can continue to provide you guys with really cool and unique content from my perspective. I guess that's what makes it unique. Zombie Chris, thanks for getting on, Zombie Chris. All right, dancing alone with rentals. Is there a souvenir that you collect from the park, like a glass or an oar? So we were talking about it earlier. If you see right behind me, I have a couple of different souvenirs. So I have the annual pass holder magnets back here. I have lanyards. I'll grab one of these. So this is the lanyard last year from Behind the Screams. This is a private tour that you could do at Halloween Horror Nights. I actually did it with my friends Zombie Chris and Losh TV, two of the original creators of the Boo Bros with me, and 2 members of the Boo Bros. Love those guys. We had an amazing time. But yeah, that's one of the things that I collect. But I collect a bunch of stuff. I have these glasses from Halloween Horror Nights. That's Jack, and I love to drink Jack and Coke out of it. I have, what else do I have? I have media passes for Sir Henry's. Kind of just collect these as memories. But yeah, I got a lot of things that I collect. And sorry, pulling up my pants. But oh, here's one thing that I collect that will probably impress you guys. This is my annual pass, and then all my room keys from all my different trips. Look at that. Some of my Halloween Horror Nights tickets too, and Disney tickets, but this is all Universal on-site hotel room keys. And this isn't even all of mine. I've definitely lost a few of them on trips, but yeah, the room keys there are super cool, awesome souvenir. Definitely recommend staying on site if you're able to, and in most cases it will save you money. Forgot about those. All right. Everything looks good now. Brittany Phillips, tips for King's Dominion. Talking about doing 2 days there. So for King's Dominion, one of the things that I definitely recommend is get there early. That's kind of like a no-brainer as far as going to the parks. I would say any park, get there early. But King's Dominion, get there early. The crowds typically tend to be a lot lighter in the morning. And get the rides that you want to get out the way. And don't forget to do Boo Blasters. I love that ride. It's it's a nostalgic type of like dark ride for King's Dominion, but I love it. And then if you want to make sure that you put a couple things in the plans, make sure to plan to do I-305 if you love coasters, as well as Twisted Timbers. Those 2 guys will blow your mind. Dominator is also amazing, and it's towards the entrance of the park. And if you're able to also plan this during a time that Soak City is open, then you'll be able to cool off at Soak City, dry off, go get some rides in, and spend a whole day at the park, or maybe do a whole day at the park, and then the next day do half at Soak City, half at King's Dominion. That'd be pretty cool. That might be a future video. Soak City and King's Dominion in one day. I like that title. Let's see. Where was that question? All right. Thank you, Brittany. Lucky X Gaming. Hi, Eddie. Hey, Lucky X Gaming. Thanks for jumping on. Chris, on a scale from 1 to 10, where does Rip Ride Rocket rank? You know, I don't hate Rip Ride Rocket, but it's also not a like must do for me every time that I go to the park. If I had to give it a 1 to 10 scale, I would probably say like a 6. It's above average. A 6 or a 7. You should come on in and ride with me one of these days, Chris. Lucky X Gaming. Hi, Zombie Chris. Just saw your video of the map speculation. Look at that. Some of Zombie Chris's fans in the chat. Lucky X Gaming, thank you for being my fan as well as Chris's fan. Love you both. Love both of your vids. Aw, appreciate it, Lucky X Gaming. Lucky X Gaming, hi. Thanks for watching the video. You guys, make sure to go check out Zombie Chris's video if you haven't done so already. He recently went over the speculation map version 2 for Halloween Horror Nights that came out today. You know, I need to get onto my Halloween Horror Nights speculation. It's that's where the channel began, and now it's kind of consolidated to just during the Halloween season, but I should add some Halloween Horror Nights content throughout the year. That's where my grassroots are from. Samuel Martinez, do a backflip. Oh, please. My insurance isn't good enough for a backflip. I just hurt myself. Zombie Chris, ha ha ha. If he does a backflip, I'm dropping another super chat. That would be crazy though. What if he said do a backflip and I actually like did it? The space here is not enough to do a backflip, by the way. Mostly not for somebody who's 6'2". I'd destroy this whole entire place with one backflip. Beth Mills. Whoa, that's a lot. I'm assuming you're talking about the room keys. Yeah, I got a lot of room keys. Lucky X Gaming. You just laughing at the backflip, I'm assuming. Kevin. Quite a stack of memories. Yeah, I mean, whenever I go out to the parks, I try to make memories. I got a bunch of stuff. Oh, I recently got this from King's Dominion. They mailed me this cool button. I posted it on Instagram. Once again, if you guys aren't following me on my other social medias, Instagram and Twitter are the ones that I'm most active on. But also I have Facebook, and I just started a Twitch as well. So, or not a Twitch. What am I talking about? What's the other one? A TikTok. I started a TikTok. I have 3 TikToks on there. If you guys don't follow me on there, I'd appreciate you guys following me on there. I'll start to make more TikTok content. But yeah, this was sent to me by Busch Gardens. A cool button. First to ride Tumbili. The day that Tumbili opened and we went to the park, it ended up snowing. So it was a crazy trip. But I do have an extra one. And it's still sealed with what King's Dominion sent it to me with in. So maybe I could do a giveaway. I have plenty of things to do giveaways with. Actually, I'm going to grab something really quick so I can show you a couple of other little souvenirs that I have and things that I've collected throughout the years. All right, I'm back. I hope you didn't miss me. Check this out. So this was actually a gift. Somebody obviously knows that I'm a huge horror fan, and it's Monique. A lot of people know that I'm a huge horror fan. Check out this sticker collection. I still haven't found something that I want to put them on, but I do want to put them on something. So a bunch of our horror icons. I'm sure Zombie Chris loves this one. Whoop. What was that? Oh, creepy. Leatherface. Got a bunch of cool little stickers that I need to figure out. This is my homie, Michael Myers, and he's right over here. But yeah, a huge sticker collection. I could go through this all day. But yeah, you see. I need to start using some of these. I got this as a gift, I think, during Christmas. I just haven't found anywhere to put them on. And I don't know if anywhere is worthy of them being put on. Maybe I should just keep them like this. Or I could find a board to put them on and then frame that board. That'd be kind of cool. Use it as some backdrop here. Let's see, what do we got? Hold on, let me scroll up. I keep my room keys too. I only have 4 though. Okay, that's okay. I started at 1. You know, and for the longest, I didn't prioritize staying on site, and now I always stay on site. I highly recommend staying on site. There's actually a video that I have in the works. These are kind of cool too. Fans for the park that work on your cell phone. But there's a video coming out going over all of the on-site resorts. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. It's been a long time in the making. I actually, here, I'll show you a little bit. I don't remember. So I started this a long time ago, but yeah, I have a whole script for the on-site resorts, and it's still not done because I want to make a pretty cool detailed video with some helpful information for you guys if you're looking to stay on site and why it's beneficial to stay on site. I've done reviews of all the hotels separately, but this is going to be a accumulation of all the hotels, which ones are what for what situation, what budget, which one fits best for what scenario in your life, if you're doing something romantic, things of that nature. Let's see. Nicholas DeRosa. Do you have any other coaster YouTubers you consistently watch? If so, which ones? So as far as coaster YouTubers, there are a couple, but I forget their names. I know, what's his name? El Toro Ryan is one that I watch. A friend of mine that was on here earlier. Airtime Mike is a good friend of his. There's a couple other ones. The names just kind of escape me at the moment. But if you don't watch, the group that I'm part of is the Boo Bros. That's a group of like 7 or 8 different creators, and we all cover theme parks throughout the years and different rides. So if you're looking for somebody else, I would jump on to Boo Bros, check out the different videos, see which one of the creators on there you like, and follow them, because we all have individual channels, but we also have the Boo Bros channel together. Dancing alone with rentals. If you could go back in time, is there a ride you would want to try that you missed before it closed, or it was long ago before your time? Not necessarily a ride that I would want to go back and try, because I don't make it a habit of actually going back and seeing history on rides that don't exist. But a ride that existed during my time that I wish that I could go back and ride right now is probably either Confrontation or Jaws. That was an era of Universal Studios where you really got to ride the movies. And I miss those rides greatly. It was a great time at Universal Studios. Tier. KK, how was the bus ride and security experience when you stayed at Dockside during Halloween Horror Nights last year? Staying there this year for Halloween Horror Nights, and was wondering what I have to look forward to. The bus ride, I only took the bus ride once, because luckily enough I have friends there, like Chris and Adrian from Losh TV. So they were able to like pick me up, and I was able to ride with them places. But I did ride the bus. The bus from Dockside is not bad at all. Not bad at all. The commute is really quick. So that portion is not too bad. The resort itself though does get really busy. You could ask Chris. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but the elevator at times did have like a 30-minute wait to get into the elevator, because it's a more budget-friendly hotel, although it is still an exquisite hotel as far as like the setup. It's a beautiful hotel, but because of the price point, a lot more people stay there. It ends up being a little bit more packed. Typically, if I'm recommending a hotel for Halloween Horror Nights, my baseline, if you can afford it, would probably be Aventura. Aventura is probably one of the hotels that gets, I wouldn't say least packed. It still gets busy, but because it's a more modernized hotel with less theming, and it's also the smallest hotel that they have, it tends to be the least busy. Within budget. If you really want to go to the least busy hotel, go to the Portofino, because it's so expensive. People can't stay there very often. I did stay there last year for Halloween Horror Nights opening weekend with Monique, and the crowds were minimal because it's an expensive hotel. When is Kicks and Whips coming back? Never, Samuel. Kicks and Whips is done, unfortunately. Let's see. Why does Chelsea grin? 66. Planning on going to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Kings Dominion for the first time at the end of April. Do you know if all the coasters are open? So, if they're not yet, they should be by then. The weather has been off and on. It's been a little bit cold certain days and then warm others. And there's temperature gauges as far as like what rides can open and what rides can't if it gets too cold. But by the end of April, they definitely should be open. And you'll also be able to experience the Food and Wine Festival over at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So I would definitely, if you're going to wait for a specific time at the end of April, wait for the Food and Wine Festival to start at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, because that will be a hell of an experience. And the wine is really good. The food is amazing. You get some cool diversity. And they've already started posting pictures of the venues where you can get food, and some of them look really cool. KK at Zombie Chris. I'll have to check out our new speculation map video. For sure, KK, go check out Zombie Chris's new video. It's awesome. He did a good job with editing. He's been stepping it up. His content was already amazing, but he, myself, Adrian, and our friends over at the Pew2 are constantly pushing each other to get better. So I think it started to show in our content. Or at least I hope it is. Let's see. The Howling Hour. I'm back too. I was balling it up. Oh, you were crossing them up? Did you go Kobe on him? Kobe. That's Rob from the Howling Hour, by the way. Another boo bro. Make sure to check out his content as well. He does a good amount of content during the haunt season and throughout the year at different festivals and events. Thanks for jumping on, my friend. Brittany Phillips, thank you for the answer. Trying to plan it out, and we have a 6-year-old trying to make it the best game plan. Yeah, that's definitely something that you want to take into consideration. But I promise you, your 6-year-old is going to have a blast. The worst thing that's probably going to happen is they'll get tired. Let's see. Lucky X Gaming. What camera do you use? The quality is amazing. By the way, the stickers are amazing. Thank you so much. I love those stickers. And Monique will probably appreciate you saying that as well. And Monique's my fiance, for those that don't know. The camera that I'm using is the Sony A7C. It's a full-frame mirrorless camera. Love that thing. I used to have the Canon M50, but then I upgraded to this, and I love it. Hey, the Howling Hour. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that. You don't gotta do that. Not much, but just a little support. Hey, I appreciate it. Every buck really goes a long way. Thank you so much, my friend. Howling Hour again. One of the friends of the channel and a part of the Boo Bros. If you like content like mine, make sure to go check him out. Let's see. What else do we got? All right, so I answered Lucky X Gaming. We got Cara Smith again, planning a last-minute trip for the the kids' weekends, I'm assuming is what you're saying. Have you noticed that the children's water features at the Busch Gardens have they been turned on yet? So they, once again, weather permitting, on and off, but I have seen in the like Sesame Street forest or whatever it's called portion of the park. Excuse my lack of knowledge around the name of it. In that area, they have had the water features on some days and other days not, because it gets too cold. But with how the weather's been recently, I could see that it'll be on more often. Samuel Martinez. Oh my God. You guys, thank you so much. Definitely didn't have to do that, but greatly appreciated. Samuel Martinez is a part of the Boo Bros as well. All the Boo Bros are supporting me. I love you guys. That's why you're my Boo Bros. Let's see. Zombie Chris. Dockside is nice and cozy. I just don't like that the parking and the elevator situation. Yeah. Chris and I experienced that firsthand last year during Halloween Horror Nights, and when I went for the the opening of Sir Henry's. So it was October 1st, the weekend of October 1st last year. But a beautiful hotel. I mean, worth every penny because the price is so amazing. Did you see my question on Twitter? Skylar, which question? I may have answered it. I think I answered either one of two of your questions. Let's see. I'm pulling up my Twitter. Make sure I didn't miss any questions. On Twitter. Let me check one more time. Yeah, I answered one of your questions. Porter Skyler, is that you, Skyler? Mm-mm-mm. Zombie Chris, are there any on-site resorts at Kings Dominion and Busch Gardens Williamsburg? Unfortunately, not. There's hotels that border the areas, but no on-site hotels like you find so amazingly so at Universal Studios Orlando Resort. One of the reasons why Universal Orlando Resort is so immersive and really gets you out of the real world is those on-site resorts. Skylar, I watch Coaster Kids Logan and Coaster Studios Taylor. Happily Ever Novak. Oh, yes. All right. So, Happily Ever Novak, Clint Novak, good friend of the channel. Actually, I'll be meeting up with him tomorrow for his wife's birthday. They put out great content, travel the world, and do a lot of what we do, but they've been doing it a lot longer. And then Taylor from Coaster Studios, I don't know him personally. I have met him in person. I've seen him he was at the opening of Tumbili, but I have only recently started watching some of his content. I only recently became aware of him, but he's a pretty big YouTuber, and his content's pretty good. Daniel Kaiser, hey Eddie, I was at Busch Gardens Williamsburg on Monday, and I rode Pantheon 2 times, and it was amazing. Anyways, what do you think about the future of both Busch Gardens Williamsburg and Kings Dominion? The future is bright. One thing that we actually could talk about is they just announced this past Tuesday that the city of Williamsburg, or whoever needs to be the regulating body for roller coasters and their height limits and all that stuff, approved I think it was 355-foot height limit for Busch Gardens Williamsburg once again. So Busch Gardens Williamsburg is moving forward with creating the biggest and tallest roller coaster of their current skyline and in their park's history. They do have by, I think, the year 2025 to complete this coaster. So they have to start building it pretty soon. But it looks like it's in the plans. So Busch Gardens Williamsburg with Pantheon, Dark Coaster, the replacement of Dark Castle, and then this big coaster, 355 feet that they're looking at doing. There's a lot of positive future at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And then Kings Dominion has, I believe, I forget what the intended replacement for Volcano is, but I think it's going to be a wing coaster. It's going to be some type of one-of-a-kind coaster that it's like a winged helix coaster or something like that. That's going to be coming to Kings Dominion to replace Volcano. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind coaster. So I look forward to that, because Volcano was an amazing ride and deserves an amazing replacement. In addition to the Jungle Expedition area is not done. There's a lot of rides that are going to be rethemed. Word has it that Intimidator 305, Flight of Fear, and Backlot Stunt Coaster will all be rethemed to the Jungle Expedition theme. So a lot of cool things coming down the pipeline. New rides at both parks and new experiences as well. Sammy, thank you, my friend, keeping me entertained. I try. James Glennon, have you seen the new racer paint at Kings Island? It's so cool. No, I'm not familiar with racer, and I've never been to Kings Island, unfortunately. But I try to keep my eye on the parks because that's one of the parks that is on the list to hopefully visit in the next year or two. Brittany Phillips, no, it doesn't officially open till Memorial Day. I'm not sure what we were referring to there, but thanks for the information, Brittany. Let's see, the Howling Hour, I'm still rocking the M50, picked up EF adapter and the 50mm, and it makes for some crispy pics. Oh, I bet. The M50 does not need to be updated or upgraded. I was doing just fine with the Sony A7C, but I was doing just fine with the M50, but the Sony A7C just kind of called my name. And it was the right timing and everything, so I ended up getting it. Daniel Kaiser, there is a Kings Dominion campground. Yeah, there is, the KOA. I don't know that it's owned by Kings Dominion. I think KOA is actually like a campground chain that's up and down the East Coast. Zombie Chris, the Howling Hour. I didn't know you had the M50. I thought you filmed on a Panasonic camera. No, I think Panasonic is actually Anthony. Nicholas DeRosa, at Zombie Chris. No, on-site hotels, but especially with Busch Gardens Williamsburg, has some outstanding hotels, especially if you are planning on visiting Williamsburg area on a trip. Yeah, no on-site hotels, but there is hotels in the vicinity. Busch Gardens, or Williamsburg area, definitely, because it's a historic area, has probably a larger assortment of hotels. And if you wanted to stay at a cool hotel that kind of gives you that on-site experience, the Great Wolf Lodge. Daniel Kaiser, Flight of Fear will be tough because, what is it? Verbolten is already like a forest, so that might be very identical. Possibly, but I think they could do it. Verbolten's not 100% indoor, and Flight of Fear is. So I think that differentiating factor will make it easier for them. The water at Sesame Street, Williamsburg. Oh, okay, gotcha. But it will open Memorial Day. I thought I had seen it on, but maybe you're right, Brittany. I don't look at that area too often. But I did check. I did kind of like pass by it for the kids' weekends when I was doing my What's New at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Daniel Kaiser. I meant to say Verbolten at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I gotcha. The Howling Hour. Yeah, Tony has the pen, but now I think he uses the Sony ZV-1, I think. Interesting. Everybody's going Sony. Alrighty, guys. We're going to be wrapping it up in the next couple minutes. We've been on for over an hour now. Thank you guys all for jumping on. Thank you to everybody who follows me on Instagram, Twitter, and follows me on the YouTube community page. And submitted questions. I really did appreciate it. I had fun answering all your questions and chatting with you guys and answering some of your questions live. Is Tumbili good? James Glennon. Yes, I like Tumbili a lot. It's a very short and concise ride, but I think it's super cool. And a completely unique experience. I've never been on a 4D spin coaster. Daniel Kaiser. I got one ride on Verbolten and my whole family was not expecting the drop at the middle of the ride, and we were in the very back road. Yeah, I've gotten on there and actually didn't tell people that drop was coming. It's kind of hilarious to see them freak out. Any thoughts on speculation towards the retheming of I-305 Backlot Stunt Coaster and Flight of Fear to fit the Jungle Expedition theme? So I'm thinking for I-305, they're probably going to do something like a green and yellow paint, something like that, or maybe like an orange paint, and then theme it to like a tiger or a panther, call it Panther. And this is from information that I've heard. I'm not just coming up with this stuff. And then for Backlot Stunt Coaster, I think they could easily turn that into like a Jeep ride and then change some of the like dark ride areas into like, I don't know, a safari type of ride. As far as Flight of Fear, that's the difficult one, but I think they'll do something with it. All right, Lucky X Gaming. Okay, Eddie, love the vids, but I am about to hop off. Amazing stream. Thank you so much, Lucky X Gaming. Thank you for jumping on. The stream's about to end shortly. If you guys have any additional questions, make sure to shoot them into the chat, and I'll answer them pretty quickly. But we've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes now. So we started about 20 minutes early. So the official live stream went for about an hour. But an hour and 20 minutes with everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming along and jumping on the live stream. Sorry for that bit of a malfunction that we had with the camera battery running out. But I think I've had a good time. I hope you guys have too. Waiting to give you guys a little bit of chance to ask any last minute questions if you have any. I could see you getting chased by an animal on Backlot. Yeah, I think they could easily create like a Jeep type ride and maybe have like an effect where you're getting chased by animals through like a safari. KK, have a good one, guys. Have a good one, KK. Thanks for jumping on. Deuces, KK. Noah Nobles, keep up the good work on the videos. Thank you so much, Noah Nobles. I'm really trying. I'm continually improving for you guys. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the content and the different styles that I'm adding. I'm gonna start trying to go back to the parks and do some like evergreen content where you guys could go back and watch things multiple times to help you on your next visit to the park. Not just walking through the park. Give you some details like places to eat, things to do, how to enjoy the park. And this will be content that you guys can refer to on a regular basis, not just a one-time basis. The jungle theme sounds amazing with the Jeep and would be a good fit. Yeah, no, I agree. Dancing with rentals. Good night, all. And good parking. All right, guys. I'm going to call it on that one. Thank you so much to everybody for jumping on. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like this live stream. It really helps get the channel moving, as well as make sure to follow me on my social medias like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, where I post questions for live streams just like this one today. And thank you to everybody who took the initiative and actually submitted a question on those platforms. I'll see you guys on the next video or the next live stream. But don't forget to ask yourself, have you been entertained?